I'm close to you. There's someone out there.
What's up, Mob Crew? I'm Chris, and today's missing person case is Don. Also, today's person of interest is Olivia. Today's missing person case is Courtney.
Police, what's going on by 515th Street? What's going on there, man? We were kidnapped. Alright, please, Frank.
Hello? Oh, it doesn't work right here. That freaking shit. Hello? What's up, Mob Crew? Give me 1 sec. Oops. Alright, what's up, Mob Crew? Sorry, my phone's going off here. Okay. Turn off. Okay, there we go. Alright, what's up, guys? I am Chris with Monsters Under the Bed. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I cover murder, mystery to the paranormal, and in all my videos, I like to introduce some missing person cases. So before we do that, we're gonna today. I know everybody's. I think we got kind of half Delphi and half Dylan Rounds followers. I will be doing some Dylan Rounds stuff later today. I'm not sure if I'm going to do 2 lives. I know I said that. We'll see. If not, I will still have a video for Dylan Rounds as well. And then just a quick shout out. Thank you to Crystal Rogers for your donation through Cash App. Thank you so much. You were so awesome. And just thank you all members. Thank you to all the mods and just everybody taking their time out of the day to watch and support the channel. You guys are awesome. So we'll jump into the missing real quick, and then we're going to go over a few updates. Well, I want to say updates, but a blog that is released some new theories. We'll just say that. And it is very, very interesting. We'll just say that. So, and since I'm sure there's probably some people that are new to the Delphi case, we will kind of go over just the basic timeline for those that are possibly new to the case. So, let's jump into the missing real quick here. And so we've got 2 girls here. This is Natalie Alvarado, hope I'm saying that right, and Yasina Alvarado. And so sisters, obviously, age 11 and 14. They're American Indian. And let's see, so they went missing on the 16th, so that was just a day ago, right? Today's the 17th. So their missing juveniles were last seen on the night of the 15th at around 2100 hours at their home located at 500 South Extension Road in Mesa, Arizona. They have not been seen or heard from since. Family is concerned for the welfare due to age. They may be possibly heading to Salt River Indian Reservation, where they have extended family and friends. Contact Mesa PD with any information regarding their investigation. So there they are. Unfortunately, it's not the best photos, and I could not find any other photos of them. So, but 2 girls, 2 sisters missing right now, and that is in Arizona. And here's the numbers down there to call. All right, and we got one more here, and this is Maddie McGrath, who is white female, hazel eyes, 5'5", 135 pounds, and last seen at her home in Jonesboro, Arkansas, around 11:30 a.m., missing since July 13th, 2020. Now I wonder, sometimes I will have to double check to see if that's a typo, because I thought this was a recently missing. They might have forgot to put 2022. If someone can research that, let me know. Because I've seen that happen a lot, where people are putting 2020 instead of 2022. So, not sure on that, but if that's the case, I will, after this video, I'll double check as well. But either way, missing from July 13th in Jonesboro, Arkansas. Okay, so let me just quickly, I'm going to put a poll real quick. I know this is probably going to be like 90%, but just in case, just curious. We're still going to go over just the short timeline, but I'm just kind of curious. So let's see. We're going to start out with, and okay, put that up there. And the article that I'm going to read through, of course, is linked at the top, because there is a lot, and there's just no way to go through it all today. So I put that at the top for you guys, and it is interesting. It does come from Robert Lindsay. For those that know Robert Lindsay, he's kind of a weirdo. But he does have a group of sleuths that they pay like a $20 membership fee, and then they're probably, it's like a lifetime thing. And so he's had this blog up for like 4 years, and they put out a lot of theories, and some of them I would say even crazy, but they've had a few things right, and we'll kind of touch on that as we go along. But so let's start out with the timeline, just for those, because it does look like there's a few that may. Yeah, so we've got already 100 votes, 95% heard, but there is a few people obviously in here that are new to it. So we'll just quickly go over the timeline. So 2 girls, Abby and Libby, good friends, wanted to go. So it was a Monday, February 13, 2017. And they didn't have school that day. It was a makeup day, and so they had that day off. And so last minute they decided they wanted to go to the Monon Bridge. It's kind of where the teenagers go and hang out. And so they had their Libby's sister Kelsi drop them off. And so let's get up to here. And so they get dropped off about 1:40 p.m. in the afternoon. And so Kelsi drops the 2 girls off and leaves, and they get dropped off here. So let me scoot this over here 1 second. Okay, that's better. Okay, so they get dropped off at what's called the Mears parking lot, which is kind of like a shortcut to go right to the bridge. So there's 2 trails. You got the 501 trail and the 505 trail. The girls take the 501, which takes you right to the Monon High Bridge. And let's see, they take, so Libby has her phone with her, and she takes a Snapchat photo at 2:05, and she takes it while they're on the bridge on platform 2, looking towards the direction they're going, which is southwest. southeast, excuse me. And so at 2:05 she takes a picture, and then at 2:07 they get to platform 3, and Libby stands on the platform and takes a picture of Abby from the direction they came. Sorry for the dogs. When somebody comes to the door, they go nuts. So she takes a picture of Abby at 2:07, and then unfortunately, and they were taking their time crossing this bridge. It's very dangerous. I played some videos for you guys of the bridge. It's missing railroad ties and stuff. It's very dangerous. The bridge is very high. The creek under it is really shallow. If you were to fall off the bridge, you would most likely die. And so it is a very dangerous bridge, and so crossing it, you do have to take your time. But there's this guy that they capture, and we've learned now that they capture at 2:13 p.m. And there's this strange guy walking along the bridge, coming towards them. The girls right now are at the end of the bridge, and luckily Libby was smart enough to pull out her phone because she thought something was off, and so she started recording this guy here, who we now call as BG, Bridge Guy. And so she records him, and then unfortunately the girls were supposed to be picked up about an hour or so after they were dropped off. They were only going to be there approximately about an hour. Their father, Libby's father, was going to pick them up, and so he shows up a little after 3. And unfortunately, when he pulls up, he runs into what we call Flannel Shirt Guy and asks, "Hey, have you seen some girls?" And the guy says no. So unfortunately, instead of taking the 501 trail, Derek takes the 505, and so he takes the 505, and unfortunately doesn't see the girls, comes back. And after an hour, they can't find the girls, and so they eventually would call law enforcement, who would then file a missing person report, and they would start a search party that night and look for the girls. They would not find the girls until the next day. Sadly, they would find the girls' bodies approximately across the creek here in this location here, and they were murdered. They found the bodies, I believe, shortly before noon the next day on February 14th. And this has gone unsolved for over 5 years now. And what's so crazy about this particular case is not only do we have video evidence of the killer, which is this 1 second clip that's being just replayed over and over. It's 48 frames. Total of 1 second, and we also have a recording of the killer as well. And so that's what makes this case so unique, is not only do we have a recording, but we have audio of the killer, but yet this is still unsolved. And so this is the audio I will play just for those who may not have heard of it. So that is him saying "guys" down the hill, and of course this is supposedly cut up. From what I understand, when he's saying "guys" is when he's approaching them while he's still on the bridge, and then when he catches up to them, he's telling the girls to go down the hill. So, okay. So moving along here, and we'll get into the blog here in just a minute. I'm going to play just a little clip of one of the press conferences, and I'll also show you the 2 sketches. But I'm just going to skip it. I'm going to play this one part where he addresses the killer, and just what he says is interesting. It'll kind of all come together here in just a minute. Yeah, that's it just the audio on that is low, so I'm sorry.
To the killer who may be in this room. We believe you are hiding in plain sight. For more than 2 years, you never thought we would shift gears to a different investigative strategy, but we have. We likely have interviewed you or someone close to you. We know that this is about power to you. And you want to know what we know. And one day, you will. A question to you. What will those closest to you think of? They find out that you brutally murdered 2 little girls. 2 children. Only a coward would do such a thing. We are confident that you have told someone what you have done. Or at the very least, they know because of how different you are since the murders.
Okay, so I just want to play a little bit of that because we'll swing back to that, why I think that's kind of relevant, because this person who I'm going to read this blog, their person of interest, who they call Mr. X, is actually, from what I understand, was actually there at this press conference. So if it was this guy that they think it is, that would be crazy because he was there. And there's always been suspicion that this guy was part of the search party, and of course this guy that we're going to talk about was with the search party. So we'll get a little more into that here in just a minute. What did I want to play from this? Okay, all right, let's jump over. Okay, so for those that are new to the case, they had released 2 sketches. This is also another bizarre thing about this case, is you have 2 sketches. You've got this one that was released in the beginning, which actually looks like the guy that's on the bridge. And then during the press conference that I just played for you, where he's addressing the killer and stuff, and they switch gears, is when they released this sketch, which looks like a more younger guy, doesn't have facial hair, which is weird because apparently the witness did describe a thin goatee and mustache, but yet it's not in the sketch. These sketches couldn't be more confusing. I think this is one of their biggest downfalls when it comes to this case, and trying to have the public's help, is just how confusing these 2 sketches are. I think it's caused so much mayhem, and I think it's cast a lot of doubt in people in faith when it comes to whether these sketches have any relevance to them, because they're just polar opposites of each other. And I've made a few videos on, some theories on what it could be. It could be just these do come from 2 different witnesses, so you do got to keep that in mind. So it could be the same person, but just maybe one witness saw one thing, and then another witness, and they just it is the same person, they just described totally different people, which is kind of weird. But do keep in mind that this one here, the original, the guy supposedly had a scarf over his face. So this is actually really a combination of a couple of witnesses, and the reason why he's got the hat and the hoodie is they took that from the video. So moving along, and then so we go by 4 years. Not much happens. They have some pressers. Obviously, the 2019, which is the presser I just played for you, where they switch gears, they show the new sketch, And then at the end of last year, we get this bombshell. And this is Keegan Klein. And the significance of him is he had a Snapchat, Instagram account that he went with Anthony_shots. And he's a bad guy. He's into CP. And supposedly not only spoke with Libby's friend days before the murders, but actually spoke to Libby apparently the day of. So, but as far as him being at the bridge, I don't think he's bridge guy, just because I don't think he matches the description. And let's see, do I have... Let's see, where's that picture here? Let me go back one. That one photo. Anyway, here's so here's these guys. So here's his father, Tony Klein, and here's Kagan. And there's also his father, who we've kind of looked at. Oh, here's the picture I was looking for. So as you can see, in my opinion, I think he's a little bit more kind of heavy set, and he's they're both kind of tall guys, and they think BG is maybe 5'6", 5'8". I think Tony Klein is about 6'1", and I think he's about 5'11". So I think they're a little too tall and a little too big. What's up, Sleuth Intuition? Glad to see you make it, buddy. So okay. So now on to this blog, and like I said, it is Robert Lindsay. He is a bit of a nut. But I followed this blog just because if you're so invested into this case, you'll follow anything, all the Reddits, everything, just because, this case is just so crazy, and it just can't believe it hasn't been solved. So anyway, I put the link at the top to this because there is a lot. He brought out something on July 4th, an article, and then he updated it just the other day. And so there's kind of a lot. So if there is a few people that are kind of newer to the case, I apologize, because I'm going to start kind of talking about some people that... but I do have a playlist, obviously, if you want to learn more about this case. And if you do go to the link, definitely scroll down a little bit, because he's got a lot of different... it's kind of unorganized a little bit. But basically, so this is Robert Lindsay. It's called Beyond Highbrow. Apparently, he's been doing this for about 4 years. He's got this site up. It's kind of a blog. And he has... I can't remember how many people he says. But you pay like $20, and then you end up... getting to be part of his group, and apparently he's got some very close inside sources. He says he's got, police sources or law enforcement, some people that were part of the search party, and all this stuff. So I am going to skip, because there is just a lot, and I couldn't get through it all. I just want to get to Mr. X and talk about their person of interest, and then the connection, his new theory about Keegan Klein, which this would make a lot of sense. So, all right, so I'm going to go start at this, what's called the main section. So people who cannot possibly be suspects. So we're just going to go through this just real quick here. So in his eyes, he says the case of Daniel DP, who's Daniel Pearson, this kid was actually, I believe, at the time of the murder. He was supposedly, and there's some controversy, he was like under the bridge with his girlfriend or another woman having an argument. And a lot of people have suspected him. He also made a video where he was at the bridge. And this was back in, I can't remember the year, but it was like 5 years prior to this murder. But he actually put out a YouTube video where he was at the Monon High Bridge. And the female he was with actually had red hair, which Abby had red hair. So it was kind of like just really weird. So everybody kind of put that all together and thought, okay, this guy's it, you know. This must be the killer. And he did change his appearance after the murders. But from what I understand, it just since this has happened, this has kind of tore his life apart. Because and that's why we try to use initials in this, because unless they're people that are like in jail and stuff or just garbage, we try to just keep with initials when we're talking about persons of interest, because you know, being a YouTuber, you got to understand that we got to try to be as responsible as much as we can, because you know, once a person gets their eyes on a person of interest who they think is the killer or whatever, they will tear their lives apart, and it don't take much. So okay, so moving on. So they don't think DP is, and then Keegan Kline, which I agree. I don't think Keegan Kline. He uses the words as a decoy, and we'll get into that later. And then, of course, his father, Tony Kline, which his father is like 6'1", and there's just too tall to be a bridge guy, in my opinion. So, moving down, and then, of course, Ron Logan. I don't think Ron Logan did it. I actually done some reenactments where I kind of put a fake mustache and wore everything that Ron Logan was wearing and filmed myself from far away, and you can really see the mustache even when I have a heavily pixelated the video. You can still see the mustache. So that's another thing I try to do, is not only cover cases, but I actually try to go out and do some reenactments and try to do some tests and theories and stuff. So those are also in my playlist as well. Okay, so now moving on to people currently under investigation. So now this is according to him, of course. So obviously Mr. X is their main suspect. And then there's a Mr. P, who is a member of the extended family of one of the perpetrators of the prank plot towards one of the girls. So apparently, from what Lindsay says, is that there is apparently a possible prank that was going to go down. Because his theory is that one of the girls may have been pregnant. This guy made a Facebook post saying that, I guess I can say it, I only nutted in her once, or something like that. And apparently he says that he was just using a reference to a song, I believe, but people believe that this was talking about one of the girls. So moving along, another possible member of the three-man group, the prank plot, was Mr. B, a former police officer. His apartment was turned upside down by the police. He's been investigated, assuming he was in on the plot. This man is also also a suspect with the same status as Mr. P. And then there's the third member of the prankster group is PG, a minor. He also remains a suspect at the time with Mr. P and B. Now I apologize because there is going to be a lot of different Mr. A through Z's. We'll just try to stick with the Mr. X, and then a few of the people are surrounding him. And I'll kind of explain that in a little bit here in just a minute. And then we've learned that Mr. Z is what to be a major suspect. And they think Mr. Z is kind of like the mastermind to Mr. X. What's up, KJ? Thanks for becoming part of the mob crew, buddy. It's good to see you. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. So, no problem. Glad to see you, buddy. Glad to see you. So, okay, so Mr. Z, and Mr. Z is very important. This is kind of follows along the lines with Keegan. We'll explain Mr. Z a little bit more, but I'm just going to read what he's got here. So, he says, he was been focus of the investigation for a very long time, and the fact that he's been given 7 lie detector tests so far is shocking. In our opinion, at least, he is a very suspicious man. And we'll talk a little bit more about Mr. Z. In addition to Mr. H, who we believe is the enforcer to the Lafayette Boys Club. So this is kind of like a gang. They believe they've been investigated for 5 years now. But apparently Mr. H is kind of fed up and says, if you guys don't back off, I'm going to file for defamation. And so that's kind of who's being apparently under investigation, along with Mr. X, who is obviously BG. And we'll talk about who he is and where he falls along. So people that have been investigated and cleared, this is according to Robert: Daniel Nations, James Chadwell, which everybody, when he came out, that was like huge. Everybody thought James Chadwell was going to be BG. And then I'm going to skip Mike Patty. I don't know how he's involved. And then Mr. A. We won't get into him. I think he's irrelevant. Okay, so this is where it kind of becomes like a bombshell, if this is true. So, new information from our police source. So apparently his police source won't say much, but what they say is, we are close to an arrest. She's been very quiet and guarded lately. It goes on to say, I'm trying to get more info out of the source here, but she implied in our last conversation we had that the police know beyond a doubt who the main suspect is in the crime and have known this for quite a while, but they are trying to remove all obstacles and get a clear, concise last piece of solid evidence. She also said that Kagan was a decoy. I am hoping for more information. I'll let you know. Now, just like I said, this was posted on the 14th. He had a July 4th post. In his heading, he said that they are, and I quote, a breath away from solving this case. That's what his police source says. So please take this with a big grain of salt. We don't know for sure. I will say this. I've followed this blog for at least a couple of years, and I've never seen him say that, they're a breath away from solving this case. So take that for what it is, but... So, okay, so into with the whole Keegan thing. So the big takeaway here is that we officially from the police now, what we have thought since soon after his name turned up, that Keegan Kline is a decoy, who traffics in CP. Other words, he plays no role in the actual murders himself. And then he kind of just rambles on. This is the problem with Robert Lindsay, is he's got a lot of interesting stuff, but then he kind of like rambles on about things that like I don't know. It just, so I'm gonna try to skip some of the stuff that he kind of rambles on about. Okay, so skip that. The only thing we keep hearing about this guy is a possible role in obtaining or distribution of a possible snuff film of the murders, which we don't know, but they did mention something about in Ron Logan's warrant that there could have been some kind of video evidence of the crime itself. So this is the mysterious Nate Miller, and why he is, why they're bringing him up is he is apparently Mr. X. So keep in mind, Mr. X is supposedly BG, and he was BG's alibi. So this is very interesting. So his alibi was a police officer. Thank you so much, Little Lucy, for the $4. Kajin? Kagan. Yeah, Kagan. I know, I always want to say Keegan, but yeah, Kagan. I think a lot of people were saying Keegan, and then when they finally did the interview with HLN and then are using Kagan, I think everybody was like, oh, shoot. So, Nate Miller, apparently he committed suicide in December of 2020. It says 2000, but it's 2020. And so the police officer who provided the alibi for Mr. X, and like I said, we'll get into Mr. X and I'll tell you who he is and everything. And he's also a relative of Mr. M, and we'll talk about Mr. M here in just a minute. We believe the police think Nate was providing a false alibi. If he was, we believe the reason in order to protect his relative. Nate sadly took his life, shooting himself in the head while on duty. Now this is where it says officially ruled as a homicide. However, everyone we talked to in the area thought it was the other. So I don't know. It might be a homicide. It might be a suicide. I'll have to look into that. Okay, so Mr. M, who is supposedly the guy that possibly impregnated one of the girls and made this crazy Facebook comment. And this is just kind of a composite of what he looks like. So apparently they were together at a bonfire party and they got together, him and Libby. But this is all just hearsay for right now. And the whole scare tactic was to get her to get an abortion. I have no idea if that's true, but it would. I could kind of see a motive. If that was true, I could kind of see a motive in a possible prank. I could kind of get behind that theory if that was true. So, in addition, we believe Mr. M is a member of a local sex club. And this is true. This is Mr. F's sex club, discussed in a video below. Our 4-year in-depth investigation of this crime has led us to believe is really a full-blown sex trafficking organization, which they have been going after a lot of rings since this whole Anthony Shots account thing came out at the end of last year. His behavior in the club, or if he has broken any laws in association with that, are not known. Apparently the club's females range from 13 to 20, 16 to 20, and 18. Okay, yeah. So apparently this is run by the Lafayette Boys Club, discussed by the female escort below. And then I'm going to skip what he says, because like I said, he's got an interesting... He's got interesting stuff, but then he just starts rambling on about stuff that's just not necessary. And so I apologize if I have to skip some stuff here. This video is very interesting. I don't have time to play it. Plus, I don't want to get strike because I didn't ask permission. But apparently, this is an escort. She talks about this club and how she met up with, she got hooked up with a guy who was, wouldn't tell his name, was very mysterious, and she went out with him. She apparently recorded some kind of conversation without his knowledge, and then later she posted it on Facebook, but she privated it, and because she was kind of afraid of this guy, and this guy kept like stalking her, and she wanted to be left alone. So she sent this guy email saying, hey, I'm going to post this on YouTube. And like I said, she had it private. So if it's a private video, the only people that can see a YouTube video is the people that get the link. Well, she says she sent this guy the link, and even though it's private, somehow after she sent this to him, her channel was immediately taken down. which is actually pretty crazy. So she thinks this guy is way up there, like a judge. Apparently, I think she talks about, he says that he's a lawyer, but won't tell her much other than that. But like I said, the link to this article is at the top. This video is in this blog. Very interesting. So, but that just kind of talks about the whole club and everything, and just kind of the pull that they have with the the higher up. So let me skip here because this kind of jumps around a little bit. Like I said, there is a lot. So one thing I will say is, apparently this Mr. Z, who is like, so apparently there's kind of like a mastermind who is the Mr. Z and the bridge guy. And Mr. Z is like fascinated with like the Zodiac Killer, and thinks that this could possibly be related to Evansdale along with Delphi. That's kind of what's saying in here, but we're going to skip this a little bit. And they talk about a Mr. M. I'm going to skip this a little bit as well. Like I said, there's so much and we just don't have a lot of time. I'm just going to get into Mr. X here. Let's see. So we think we have solved a curious question about Ron Logan. Remember how everyone kept saying BG is dressed up exactly like Ron dresses? We think that may be deliberate, which I've also covered this as well. But then obviously I've been told by locals that that's just how everybody dresses out there anyway. But it could be deliberate. Obviously they found the bodies on Ron Logan's property, so would make sense. This guy was being set up by somebody that knows him quite well. Apparently there's a rumor that BG and Ron Logan's son were at Ron's for a party that Sunday night. That'd be kind of interesting. So that places him there literally 12 to 16 hours before the crime took place. I'm going to skip this a little bit. So then they talk about Mr. X may have stolen some Ron's clothes that night to wear them to commit the crime. It's possible if he was there at Ron's that night or the night before. I think Ron would say something like, hey, my clothes are missing. But, and of course, Ron is innocent. He was cleared after 2 years after the crime. Setting up the fall guys for the crime. So we now have 6 different possible people possibly being set up to take the fall. So you got the 3 men who supposedly set up this prank for the girls. Then you have Mr. M, who is possibly the father of one of the girls if they were pregnant. And then the one that I really wanted to talk about is Keegan Klein, and how Mr. Keegan Klein and Mr. Z fall into place. So Keegan Klein may be being set up by Mr. Z, who worked on his phones and computers and therefore had access to his logins and passwords. So I don't know if this is fact. This could all be BS. I have no idea. And I'm going to definitely try to look into this. But if that's the case, that would be the connection that we're trying to put where Keegan Klein fits into all this. And why this is crazy is because the Anthony Shots account, when they're talking to the girls and stuff, is that there seemed to be 2 different personalities when this Anthony Shots account was talking to the girls. And so they always felt that, obviously one of them was Keegan Klein, but they always felt that somebody else was using Keegan Klein's devices to talk to these underage girls, or Libby, because they felt like there was 2 different, the way, some of these conversations felt like it was somebody else talking instead of Keegan. And so that would totally make sense if this guy, Mr. Z, let's say he was like an Apple tech support or whatever, and had access to even just one of his devices. He didn't have access to all the devices, just needed the one to get into to have his login and passwords, it would be interesting. So that's what they're saying here, is that Mr. Z was kind of like the tech guy for Keegan, and was able to get into the Anthony Shots account. So now that kind of throws Keegan under the bus. So client obviously is set up to take the fall. So now we move forward. Okay, so in order to understand this possible solution, we have to look back early this year to when the case seemed to break wide open with the Anthony Shots revelation. Our research has determined that Mr. Z was interrogated again early this year. Mr. Z was given his 7th lie detector test at the time. 7. He keeps getting inconclusive, which is also how Mr. X and indeed Tobe Lezenby's tests have been coming back. But soon after the interrogation, the major break in the case involving the Anthony Shots account, which was then shown to be Klein's devices, occurred. And it just so happens Mr. Z was Klein's computer and phone tech and had access to all his devices. If that was true, that would make a lot of sense. I would be crazy. Absolutely crazy. So, alright, so let's move on here. So they talk about a couple other possible suspicious characters. And where's the one I want to find here? Like I said, there is a lot. Okay, so now moving on to, we're getting close to Mr. X here in just a minute. So there was also a sighting of a white van, possibly a suspect, was seen in the area of the bridge early on February 14th. So that's the day after the murders. The rumor says something about a white van in Indiana Packers. They're not sure if that's like an Indiana Packers van. So we're not talking about the football team. We're talking about meat packaging place, which is Indiana Packers. They believe, I think Mr. X is worked for Indiana Packers at some point. So let me skip this. Okay, so so there is a lot. Okay, so on to Mr. X, and then we'll kind of just talk about him and where he was supposedly at and everything. So it's time to clear up some. Times regarding the lost keys incident. So their Mr. X is apparently one of the guys that was involved in the search group, and he's the one that supposedly lost his keys and had his vehicle there overnight, and they thought that was kind of odd. And he told that he I guess when he was searching on February 13th during the night, that somehow he lost his keys. And so and then so let me read this, coming back to bring his keys. And then he told also on February 14th, he told the cops that his wife was coming to bring him the keys that he lost, except she never showed up, or he didn't even call her, it says. And then at 8:30, the police transcript saying she was coming to deliver the keys to Mr. X. When she never showed up, there's a record of a call at the fire department to tow Mr. X's truck at 9:14. So apparently they had to tow his truck on the 14th at 9:14. There's also a dispatch record for the tow truck at the scene at 9:30. That's interesting. The cops said that Mr. X had left or gone home, abandoning his truck there. It was apparently towed soon afterwards. So that is very interesting. So apparently, he somehow his truck was there the 13th when they were looking for the girls, and then they were obviously out most of the night, and then somehow lost his keys. Now the theory would be is if he is bridge guy, then obviously he probably maybe during the murder, his keys fell out, and then of course, when he's during the search party, he had to come back and swipe up his keys. So now possibly tied to previous employment at Indiana Packers. So if you look at our earliest post, we decided that BG was wearing Indiana Packer boots. I don't know if you can really tell what he's wearing with that grainy video, but they did go apparently to the Indiana Packers after the crime and took a pair of boots away. As you can see here, boots seized at the Indiana Packers raid a few days after the crime. The police supposedly faked a bomb threat in order to raid the place. There's a photo of a pair of boots from that raid in the evidence bag. Under the photo it says, "This is not important." And this is actually posted by Alexis McAdams. It says, I wish I could zoom in on this. So it says, evidence. Police still sweeping Delphi for evidence in murders. Police brought these boots in to analyze key evidence at this point. So I think that maybe they were just taking a pair of boots that Indiana Packers have, not any particular person's boots, but they were just taking a pair of boots to analyze to see. Maybe there was probably footprints, obviously shoe prints, in the dirt near the Monon Bridge and everything. So maybe they were using those to determine, does this match up? That would be my guess in that. And if they did match, then holy hell, that'd be crazy. There is a transcript to show PB and his wife picking it up around 9:30. He never lost keys, confirmed by BP. Really interesting. So there is no record of a tow truck. Interesting. Very interesting. BP. Huh. That would be interesting if that was the case. But like I said, this is just all for entertainment. And like I said, I will definitely need to do some more research. But this guy has definitely got his eyes set on Mr. X, who is, I think, PB, who was a part of the search party, and I believe was actually at the press conference. And so that's pretty interesting. But I would love to, if you can send me some stuff on that, I would like to see that for sure. And then the autopsy report, which is supposedly leaked. Of course, we're not going to really talk about that out of respect to the family, but it's just confirms that it wasn't very good. Of course, one girl is stabbed, and then another girl nearly decapitated. So one more thing, because like I said, there is just so much. Let's see, how long have we been going? Oh my gosh, it's been an hour. Okay, so let me jump. Okay, one more thing that I want to talk about this Mr. X here is that apparently the wife had made a Facebook post saying that have you known someone your whole life and then you discovered that this is completely a different person, this monster, this entity of pure evil, a mere week after the murders. That's very important. So it would be interesting if that was the case. But like I said, I've got the link at the top. There's just so much to this. And apparently this Mr. X had indeed been living in Waterloo, Iowa at the time the girls were killed. That's the Evansdale murders. Apparently Mr. X had been working for both Indiana Packers and Tyson Foods. If that's the case, that would be crazy. Let's see. What else is there? God, there is just so much in here. Let me skip to the top real quick here. But yeah, if you guys are curious, check it out. It's a lot of reading. One of the things that stuck out to me though is this. Clearly, the Keegan Kline thing with this guy being tech support. It would be interesting if that was the case, that this guy just got access to his devices, and that's how he was able to. Because people are wondering, well, was it Tony Kline coming in to use his phone when Keegan was asleep? Kagan was asleep. Who is the second personality that's talking with these girls? And if it was, let's say, some kind of like tech support that was able to hack into his device, that would totally make sense. So anyway, this was posted on 4th of July, and like I said, his main article says, and this comes from his police source, saying it's a breath away from an arrest. So, like I said, take it with a huge grain of salt. This blog's been out for 4 years, and they say they have some very good inside sources. Whether it is true or not, as we'll find out, but it's a lot, that's for sure. And I wish I had more time to kind of break down all these Mr. A through Z's, but obviously I've been working the Dylan Rounds case, but it's just something with Delphi, since I followed it for so many years, that you'll just keep tabs on anything. And this does, like I said, Robert Lindsay is a bit of a weirdo and has definitely made some really, I guess, disgusting rumors. But if he does have these members and he does have these sources, and some of these turn out to be true, then it'd be kind of crazy. So, but I think I'm gonna read a few comments here, but like I said, it's pinned at the top, and I'll also put it in the description if you want to check it out. And then I know a lot of people are here wondering what we're doing with the Dylan Rounds case. Unfortunately, we couldn't make it out this weekend, and we'll try to get out there within a day or two. I don't want to say because, but we're going to definitely try to get out there as soon as we can. It just, unfortunately, with my car being down and only having my aunt's vehicle, it kind of puts a strain, because she's got things she's got to do, and of course, everybody's got lives amongst this. So, but of course, I think about Dylan Rounds a lot, and I want to do as much as I can. Yeah, Dylan Round News. I don't think there's anything. I know some channels are covering the Don character, which Don H. Like I said, I even have a conversation with a guy that talked about Don H. I can't release it because I never asked his information, asked for his permission. It is just a short conversation, but like I said, I keep saying Don H. Seemed like it, from what everybody said, seemed like a decent guy. And the guy, he had money. He didn't have a motive. As far as money, he didn't have a motive to kill Dylan. He, when he got fired, he was like, cool, I'm going on vacation. He's just, from what I understand, he's just kind of a laid back guy. So anyway, like I said, if you want to check that out, I've said that a million times now. It's at the top, and I'll put it in the description. It's a lot, and like I said, you got to scroll down a little bit because there's two of them. He had a July 4th post, which is this one here, and then he's got a newer one where he posted on the 14th. And kind of talks about some of the Ron Logan and Keegan Kline mysteries, which, like I said, the Keegan Kline thing really stuck out to me. I'm like,
that makes the most sense from what I've heard for sure. As far as where's the connection to Keegan Kline to, other than that, yes, this Shots profile spoke with Libby, prior to the murders, but it feels like that's a different personality. Somebody else hacked into his thing, and he just didn't know it. So, can you please find something to do with Roadrunner with Dylan? I asked many people who are out there. There's something to do with Roadrunner. Oh, the trail. Yeah, I think I might know what you're talking about. It might be the just the railway system. And there is also a few roads that have Roadrunner. Why, is that just a particular name that's sticking out? Wife Lilith? There is a lot of trails out there, and I'm just missing. Arctic Fox True Crime. It's not much, but hopefully it'll fix your car. Thanks, buddy. Thanks so much. Hope your channel's doing well. Arctic Fox covers missing person cases. Shout out to him. Before I go, hold on real quick. And like I said, I'm going to have a video for you guys as well. For Dylan Round. Sorry, I'm just reading my messages here. Thank you, Crystal. And I think I got everybody. Thank you so much, Crystal. You're awesome. Thank you, guys. Sorry I didn't have like a lot more with this. There is a lot, but there's just a lot of reading, and with a lot of Mr. A through Z's, I think it'll be easier just, if you're interested, to read it yourself. So it's not like, info overload, I guess you could say. What's wrong with the car? The second time we went out, my car, I bought a lemon. Let's just put it that way. I bought a lemon. I doubled down on it. I didn't know it was lemon. I mean, sometimes you just don't know. I put a lot of money into it, and it's just done. It's not worth it. Sadly, it's just part of life, So we're gonna try to get a car this next payday, which will be coming up, and or at least get a down payment on a car. So, but everybody's been donating and all that stuff, and I really appreciate it. We'll get back on our feet, and like I said, we will definitely get back out there sometime soon. Not sure what day yet. I don't want to say a day just because. What type of car? I had a Nissan Murano 2004, and it just it's got I fixed the catalytic converter on it. Here in Utah, we have to have emissions tests, so it wouldn't pass emissions for the life of me. And then I finally got it to pass emissions after spending like $4,000. And then apparently it's leaking oil from the manifold, which actually leaked onto, I think, some kind of electrical wires or something. And now it's kind of like a mix between electrical and something else. So and I've been down that road with electrical stuff, and you just like, I don't want to put another dollar into it. See, that's what I was told. Nissans were good, but sadly not. It kind of sucks. Yeah, Subarus run forever. Yes, Subarus are the best. Oh my gosh. Subarus are amazing. We got literally 2 of them in the driveway. So, what's up, Jennifer? So anyway, guys, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm going to try to make a video for you guys for Dylan. Just a quick update on what I know. And I'm sorry I missed out. I kind of messed up on the... So I talked about how the Heavy D Sparks video was missing the video where they're following the tracks. But I guess that was from East Idaho News. I just thought that was in Heavy D Sparks video as well. But I guess I got that wrong. So I apologize. I guess they didn't take that out. It was just never in there. That was just taken from East Idaho. So, Yeah, and it is. It's been hot. And then, oh, the other thing I wanted to say, what's up, True Crime with Shannon? Is I know a lot of people want us to hook up with Ty, and I have no problem hooking up with Ty. The only problem is you got to remember is Ty is all the way on the Nevada side. I am on the almost other side of Utah. So that's for us to kind of meet up, because they were like, oh, well, Ty could come pick you up. Like, it would take him, it would be like a 6-hour trip for us, for him to like come pick me up and then just go back out there and then to drop us back off. It would, the logistics, it just wouldn't work. So, because we'd spend half the time just driving. So, but if we get out there, I will definitely call Ty, because I know a lot of people want us to contact him. So, with that said, guys, I'll have a video out tonight. Oh, and a members video as well. So, to all the wonderful members that support this channel, you guys are awesome. Mods, you guys are awesome. And sorry, this is waffle time. I'm rambling. So, I love you guys. Have a rest of a great weekend, and we will keep you updated on the Dylan Rounds thing for sure. So, and we got the same outro. I will get some new pets going probably sometime midweek. So if you sent me some okay, I was just reading stuff. Alright. Well, thank you, guys. I appreciate all the support, guys. You guys are awesome. So, what's up, True Crime with Shannon? So,